Is your cell phone bill out of control? Then this is your wake-up call. The new TracFone Wireless gives you unlimited talk and text starting at $20 a month, no contract, plus unlimited carryover data with active service. Yep, the new TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. See terms and conditions at TracFone.com.
Welcome to Dare a New Belief, a place to discover what is possible for your life after the loss of a loved one, and where you will find inspiration, insight, support, and love, and hopefully a bit of laughter to help you through your day. Now, here's your host, Nada Hogan.
Welcome to Dare a New Belief, where you will find light and life, love and joy, healing, faith, and hope. A place where you get to believe in what is possible for your life. Today, I have the great honor to bring back again Kathleen Scherek, only because she shares such fabulous information and we never answer all of the questions. So I just want to remind you who Kathleen is. Kathleen Scherek is an award-winning educator, author, White House recognized consultant to top companies, and a sacred parenting coach. She mentors pregnant and new parents, grandparents, and child professionals who care for young children in the first 7 years of life. For more than 30 years, Kathleen has studied neuroscience, child development, energy psychology, vibrational health, quantum physics, and world religions. She has been a top international consultant to Fortune 200 executives, receiving commendations in the United States White House for her role in improving organizational performance in the United States. That's just wild, that sentence by itself. She is a former university associate dean who has advised both the Walton and Gates Foundations about innovation in education. She carries several graduate degrees in education and public administration. Kathleen co-founded a monastery-based school that serves thousands of families and is a founding board trustee of several foundations. Kathleen, welcome and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi, Nada. I feel so honored to be able to be here talking about such important things with you and sharing with your listeners. I welcome these conversations with you.
Thank you. Yeah, because they're powerful. They're things that we just don't think about. I think we go through life, we become parents, we parent as best as we can, we send the kids off, they get to school, they get married, they go off and they parent and they do it the same way their parents did it. And of course, we're doing it how it was handed down from generations. And really none of us know what the hell we're doing. We're just kind of muddling our way through, doing the best that we can possibly do. And so this information is so powerful because it just gives you another way to do it that literally, truly empowers you as the parent. And as we talked about in last week's show, how it empowers the grandparent and the child, the most important person in this. Well, they're all important, but the little ones, because they're going through the formative years. And so we want to do it in a way that's very empowering to them. So I'm so grateful for the work that you do and all of your background, because this isn't just hocus pocus. This is well studied and educational. So today, what I want to dive in with you, last week we talked about sacred grandparenting. So listeners, if you missed that, please go back to last week and catch up with that because it's phenomenal. And this week we're going to talk about sacred parenting and working moms. So because, right, I believe that happened to you. I know it happened to me. I was a working mom and had little ones, and it's not easy to do. And the first question that I want to pose to you is, once a family brings in, and maybe even a mom, because I know that was what happened to me. I had very little children, and I was divorced, so I was a single mom doing this. Once a new baby or the young child is in the family, the parents often have professional work or jobs that are outside of the home, and they need to integrate that with their new life. So how can those new parents or new mothers apply the sacred parenting to this to be a better parent?
Well, this is, all parents have experienced a major life change, a major transition when a new baby comes into the family, no matter how the baby comes, whether it's adoption, whether it's surrogate, whether it's a family friend that you are an aunt or if you're an aunt or an uncle, or whether it's through our own birth process. And so the changes that come have to be expected. I mean, we know from research at the Gottman Institute, that which is a well-known relationship institute, studying relationship research for many, many years, that 2/3 of parents experience a significant drop in the satisfaction of their relationship in the first year after the birth of a child. Mothers usually experience it earlier. Yep. And fathers usually experience it a little later, like going into the second year of the new baby. But this is one reason why it's important to just recognize, number one, that family dynamics are getting ready to change, and yes, they are changing. And the more that we can cultivate three things. Number one, our own inner resources, our own inner reserves through the pregnancy process, whether we are the ones that are pregnant or someone else is, that we will then be the beautiful recipient of a new life into our family. Whether we are the one, our own inner resources can be developed during that time to just prepare. We can never know exactly what it's going to be like. We have to live it. But we can prepare ourselves to be open, to be in a spot of reception. And that's what women's roles are often, is to be in a receiving position. And a lot of us, Nada, a lot of us women are not very good at receiving. And especially women that may have attained a certain level of professional status, professional work in their business environment, entrepreneurial moms, those kinds of things. And I'm not saying fathers don't matter at all. I am saying, though, that professional moms in particular have their own unique set of circumstances that they're dealing with. When I was young, I worked in a factory, Nada. And factory workers are important. Yeah, I did that. I did the piecework and everything. It's really important because people are receiving products that you're putting together. And there just are differences. So that work is extremely important. Any work that we offer in the world, any contribution that we're making is important work for the individuals that are offering it. Moms who are in a business situation of some professionalism have some unique characteristics they're dealing with. And they're not only faced with a new family now, but they are accustomed to working in a business environment that gets results. They are responsible for results. And here, the whole process of pregnancy is a process. And parenting is a journey. It's a process. It's a journey. It's not a destination. And so there's a bit of a difference there in what we're dealing with. Now, with sacred parenting, we can be challenged normally with our biology, but if we can go within and develop those, I start to mention the inner resources, and I didn't finish, I'm sorry. The first is the inner resources for ourselves. It's the resources to connect with our child, number two, during pregnancy, so that this onboarding of the child and their soul into our family matrix is the way that it needs to be. I was going to say as smooth as possible, but and sometimes it's not meant to be so smooth for reasons that we don't know. But that it is in the way that it's meant to be. And the third is to develop some reserves, some inner reserves to actually prepare our relationship with our partner, with the family as it currently exists, for this new energy that's joining us. And those are, so when we can, sometimes it's easier for professional or entrepreneurial or executive moms to kind of compartmentalize. These are the things that we need to do. And that's why I present this kind of in 3 different steps. But the sacredness of it really has to do with the inside work. The outer work, we know that we're going to be changing diapers. New moms these days are getting advice from mommy bloggers. They're getting advice on the latest innovations. Oh, Nada, there's so many fun innovations for babies now and young children. There are. And yet, and now with the new pull of entering the workforce with a new family dynamic going on, it's the push and the pull between results and journey. And as professional women, we've got to understand that we just went through a creation process of actually creating a human life, whether it was biological or whether it was energetic through adoption or others, because, the children we're meant to find us. They usually find us, and through whatever means it might be. And I've worked with some people that the avenues are incredible, how babies came to them, non-biological. But this, having gone through this sacred creativity of creating a life, and now our inner reserves are being asked to produce in a big way in our work environment. There's a stress there and a tension that we have to both embrace, see it as separate from us, but also be able to handle it in a way that is healthful and helpful for our family and our child. And in those ways, this is all about developing our own inner processes, whether that be, Nada, through our own spiritual practice of some sort. I think I've mentioned before that the research clearly shows now, this is phenomenal research, I'm just enamored with it really, that children who have a positive and very active relationship to spirituality when they're very young, that when they become teens, they are 40% less likely to use and abuse substances. Wow. Not only that, they are 60% less likely to be depressed as teenagers. Not only that, they are 80% less likely to have dangerous or unprotected sex. And they're much more likely to have positive markers, as they call them in research terms, for thriving and for high levels of academic success. Now, if academic success is important to you and your value system, then that's something that's a piece of research that would be important. But all of these, I think, would speak to a professional new mom in particular, because we are often, as executive, entrepreneurial, professional new moms, we're looking for the best practices. When we're looking at mommy bloggers, we're looking for best practices. When we're looking at the innovative products, we're looking at which ones have been tried and tested, which ones are the ones that the other moms are recommending. So that's something that is cultivated in our professional life, so it's something we naturally do as a new mom. When we have research like this that shows a spiritual beginning, whatever that means, by the way, the research does not correlate the same to a religious childhood. This is a spiritual childhood.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah. What is that? What is that spiritual practice, Kathleen? It doesn't have to be religious. So what does that look like?
So it's up to how the family defines its values. It can be its spirituality, however that is defined. It can be a personal relationship to nature. It can be a personal relationship to a higher power, such as God or the universe or angels or spirit. But in this research, it was defined as a personal relationship to this higher power that is loving and guiding. And that it has this kind of impact on a child's long-term mental and physical health is really impactful. And all moms, of course, are often interested in research, but professional, executive, entrepreneurial moms especially so, because, and I count myself in that because of my background and my many decades of experience now. Decades, Nada, decades. Gee. I don't want to put a number on it. You know what I mean? But that, that it takes, there's a certain growth curve that happens when you're building a business, when you're building an organization, when you're creating it from scratch, when you are in a certain level in an organization that is making decisions that impact others in the organization. So other roles, of course, that are not executive level are just as important. It's just a different dynamic for a new mom.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, these new moms, these professional moms and executive new mamas and entrepreneurial new mamas, we often go through, the guilt, I was just talking again with another new professional mom the other day, and imposter syndrome is real to us. Who am I to be able to do this? And really the answer to that is, who are you not to be able to do it?
Right.
If you're feeling like you can't handle this, if you're feeling different because, beautiful biology and hormones, when we have gone through the pregnancy and labor and delivery process and are a new mom, their hormones are real. The biology and the chemistry of it is real. And so oftentimes we need to feel it. If we feel like an imposter, okay, go ahead, feel it. Now let's get on the other side of it, because we do not need to sit on the place of owning that.
Right.
How we treat ourselves matter. Our words, our thoughts, how we treat ourselves matter. For decades, I have not used the word should. Should equates to shame in my book, and, should's shame. So let's stop shaming ourselves. And when we're at a certain level of responsibility, no matter what we do for our professional life or our working career, we can easily shame ourselves, especially as moms, because it doesn't seem like we're doing enough. But if we come back to sacred parenting, and one of the 9 keys of sacred parenting is this soul agreement. Your baby comes to you knowing your journey. And if you can stay aligned with your baby and aligned with your heart takes you to the steps on that journey. So whether that baby needs to be in daycare, needs to be with a loved one, needs to be with you at home, you will figure it out. Not to worry about it. You'll figure it out.
Right.
And you can always change your mind.
Absolutely. Yes. And I want to ask you, because so what advice do you give for executive new parents or maybe toddlers, and they're finding themselves where it's just like, oh my goodness, I'm not doing this parenting the way that I want to be doing this parenting, or I find myself in this imposter syndrome, or what advice do you give to those parents so they can continue or begin to bring their very best self forward to their child or to their children, and so they are doing the sacred parenting?
I'm going to refer to a practice of ancient wisdom that we know about, Ho'oponopono. Are you familiar with this, Nada?
I am,
so,
yes. Yeah.
And I will just very briefly mention it because it can have many different names, and there are parts of it that have become popular in society at the moment, and yet it's a very sacred practice, and you can have what I might call shortcuts to it. I've developed my own shortcuts to it. But Ho'oponopono is a beautiful Hawaiian healing tradition, and my Hawaiian friends will laugh at me right now, but as I try to describe it, because it's so much more rich than we have time to go into. But very simply, when when a child is born, let me go back a minute. When we encounter challenging situations, there are four energy fields, four statements, four affirmations, four offerings that we can make that can change the entire vibration of the situation. And this is the order that I do them in. It may not be the order a traditional Hawaiian healer might recommend it, and I apologize for that. This has worked for me. Number one, there are four simple statements. Number one, thank you. Thank you. And that's saying thank you. You may, whatever challenging scenario or situation, whether it's imposter syndrome, whether it's challenges in your new relationship with your spouse or your partner because of this new baby, because there's really anxiety emerging between you, or whatever it might, you can't figure out these new roles yet. Whatever it is, it's a thank you. It's gratitude, number one. And there are ways to go deep into it that are very healing and peaceful, and that get to a place of transcendence, really. The second is thank you, I love you. The third is thank you, I love you, I'm sorry. And the last one is please forgive me. So we're talking about gratitude, love, and forgiveness. And those three concepts, they're four statements, but three beautiful concepts that when we really bring them into our daily lives as a very simple ritual and we embody it, they're transformative. And I'll mention, just as an example, I was trying to come up with a story about Ho'oponopono, and it has to do with, for example, if a child in a family has gone off on a tangent and they're not doing things that honor themselves, a family will traditionally get together and practice this Ho'oponopono together. And it brings the child back to themselves. And there's more that we can talk about at another time if we need to, but it's such a beautiful practice that we can learn from the ancestral lineage, in this case from Hawaiians, but every culture has their own version of gratitude, love, and forgiveness. And these are very simple things that I have practiced as a professional executive mom. And it's not something we commonly associate with, all those terms don't commonly seem to go together, and yet they do so beautifully.
Yes. And
so
I
having
love
a spiritual practice. Yeah, and having a ritual, a very simple ritual around it. We know about journaling. We know about prayers or chanting. We know about, Neda, at a certain point when I had 3 young children under the age of 5 as a single working mom with my own business, I had huge, 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper plastered on the wall at my height, so my children couldn't see them. And it said cherish. It said love. Yeah. It said treasure. Because you know what? I needed to be reminded because it was stressful.
Yes. Yes. And
so however we choose, whatever we choose, there may be apps that we can choose that help us keep in mind the gratitude, the love, the forgiveness, because even when you're in a business meeting and you're having trouble with somebody's presentation, or they're giving you grief about your presentation or your way of looking at things, you can be sending them Ho'oponopono. This is an active technique that works in the professional environment.
Yeah. So beautiful. Well, you know what this means, Kathleen, is you're going to have to come right back on. We're going to have to schedule another time. I love this part about using this technique in the executive world. Being able, so I know we've been talking about sacred parenting and sacred grandparenting, but even being able to take this love and respect and forgiveness, and I'm going to throw in honoring also, into our workplace, and right, because I think the world is ready for this kind of a big change, not only just our sacred parenting and grandparenting, but also to be able to bring this kind of gratitude, love, and forgiveness into the workplace, because that's where the majority of us are during, right, 40 hours a week, at least 40 hours a week. So Kathleen, I think we have to do this again. And what that means is we're going to have to wrap up this show, and we're going to have to schedule another time for you and I to get back together and do this one more time. So I want to thank you. There's so much more information that I can glean from you and that the listeners can. If there's one piece or one nugget, we have like about 30 seconds, one nugget, a tip that you can share with the listeners, what would that be about executive moms and sacred parenting?
It's to stay true to yourself, your real self with a capital R. And that means to not be influenced by outer recognition, outer appearances, just to be your real self, because bringing your authenticity both to your workplace and to your family, your relationship with your partner and the rest of your family and your child is the most important gift that you can bring and be.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. Your real self with the capital R and capital S.
With a capital R.
Yeah, because I love it. I love it. Kathleen,
and to just remember that it's not the stress that breaks us down. It's how we handle it. So to use the tools that we learn from whatever resources and use those tools to stay in the ambiance of our real self.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Right. Because it's not the stress. It is not the stress. It's how we are responding to that or reacting to that, how we interpret that. Absolutely. Kathleen, how do the listeners get in touch with you?
The best way, Nada, is right at my website, which is KathleenScherek.com. And my email address would be Kathleen@KathleenScherek.com. Thank you for asking.
Yes, perfect. And that information will be in the show notes and on the website. So please don't worry if you missed that information. We'll have that there. So this was part 2 of our second interview together. So I have a feeling we're going to have chapter 15, chapter 19. I adore you. I love your wisdom. I love your approach to sacred parenting, and I'm so grateful for you being on the show.
This comes right back at you. Thank you for allowing me to join you and serving your listeners.
I love it. Thank you so much. And to all of the listeners, thank you so much for being with us today. And I know that there are golden nuggets in there for you. And I wish you a beautiful rest of your epic week, and be sure to tune in next week for a brand new guest. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kathleen. Much love.
Thank you for spending time with us today. Please go to nadahogan.com for show notes and other information you can use right away. If you like what you heard here, please subscribe to our show, and don't forget to rate and review right there on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you get your shows. And don't forget to tell your friends about it. We'll see you next week.